everybody, Omar here, the knife of the party. I'm back with another fun-filled video for you. And today, we're going to be doing another discussion video. This video is going to be very, very taboo. And it's going to try and explain or answer. I'm probably going to get a ton of comments on this video. Are customs worth it? And what are we doing in this hobby, paying really over-the-top prices for knives? I mean, it's a question that's like baffled a lot of people that are not into customs. So I'm going to try and bring us together with this particular video so we can all maybe get a better understanding. First of all, I've got some knives out here on the table. They're just here for like eye candy. You know, you may see me flipping them. I may talk to it. I may relate one of the knives to some sort of a topic that I'm going to try and meld together here, because I'm kind of doing this video jazz. In other words, it's not really well thought out, so I'm just going to talk. Number one, I have a belief that 60% of the production knives out there are better than a lot of the customs that we're into. Not necessarily relating to any of the makers on this table. I'm just talking about customs in general. Okay, and my theory as to why that is, production knives are made on an assembly line, right? A very highly skilled person puts the knife together. In other words, it's basically, it's a process. That's what a production knife is. It's a process. Number one, the knife will either be an in-house design or a collaborated design, like the knife I have in my hand, which is a knife that's inspired by Rick Hinderer, and his knife. The Hinderer, basically, is what inspired this knife. This knife is the ZT-0562. And a lot of people have actually said that this is actually better than his custom Hinderer. I've heard that from people. And I believe the reason that is because ZT is behind this particular knife. You have to understand, production knives have something that custom knives don't have. They have a set bar of quality that must be before the knife is put out and mass produced. Why? Lots of reasons. Number one, keep in mind this knife is made on an assembly line, right? By anywhere between maybe 25 people on an assembly line, putting this knife piece by piece. The production of this knife is very well thought out as far as what the finished product is supposed to become at the end of the line. And the product has to be at that set bar where anybody can pick up the knife and they'll be very, very happy with the quality of the knife. There's no, side-to-side blade play. There's no up-and-down blade play. The centering is perfect. You know, the quality overall must be at a certain level, because if it's not, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. The company is going to be brought down. Especially in today's world with social media, people are going to start complaining about the consistency of the knives. Hence was the case, and probably, I don't even know if it still is going on, but the case with Benchmade, where a lot of people were complaining that the quality wasn't as good as other companies. It happens. It happens. So production companies have to stay in check, and that's really one of the main reasons why, in my opinion, 60% of the production knives out there are better than a lot of the custom knives that are out there. Again, not necessarily pertaining to any one of the knife makers that are on this table. I'm talking about custom knives in general. Case in point, on the other side of the spectrum, when we deal with custom knives, there is no set bar, really. The set bar is in the mind of the person that made the knife, the actual knife maker. Because keep in mind, an entire company standing behind this particular knife, right? That guarantees the quality of this knife, of all the knives you see here on the table that are production knives. The company stands behind what's put out in front of the people to buy. When we're dealing with custom knives, the only two people on earth that have to be satisfied with this knife is the guy who made the knife and the person that's actually going to buy the knife. So the knife maker who makes the knife, what's on the line is his pride, his work. Basically, he is the only one that has to stand for when the knife is finally put out. And he is risking his life when he sells this thing to you. He is risking his life, literally, because if you don't like the knife, or you say one bad word on Instagram, or, you say one bad thing on Facebook, and guess what? He's shut down. His family doesn't get to eat. He may lose his house. This may be his only way of making a living. And we're talking about somebody that maybe have been doing this for about, 10, 12 years. And all of a sudden he puts out one bad knife and, am I exaggerating? Probably not, because we're only dealing with one person here, right? Just one person. At the same time, as far as why we make the move from production knives to customs, let me get this knife out of the way here for a second. Actually, place that one right there. Yeah. Why we make the move into custom knives is because as knife buyers, because knives are made on an assembly line, and because production knives have a budget that they have to follow, their set bar and the time limit in which they have to make these knives, it's very limited as to what you're going to be able to buy or what you're going to be able to have that's available to you. Because let's face it, after a while, right, the Benchmade Anthem, as awesome as this knife is, I mean, aesthetically, you're going to be looking at this thing, and if you're not really someone who is a tool user knife person, this is only going to give you so much satisfaction. I honestly believe that people that are heavily into production knives and are heavily into using their knives, my own opinion, I think they probably get more satisfaction out of buying knives than I do in a lot of cases, because I'm looking for something more. And every time I buy a knife, I'm probably still not sure what it is that I'm looking for, but yet I can't stop buying. Meanwhile, there's a guy out there who owns a Benchmade Anthem like I own mine, and his is all beat up and all destroyed and all like dirty and probably got gunk in it, and he probably cleans it every day. That guy's getting the most out of what he paid for, isn't he? He's getting the most out of what he paid for versus me, who's just a knife collector, who's looking for something, some kind of beauty, some kind of, I don't know, something, some sort of a distraction, whatever it is. There's a reason why we get into custom knives. And we want to have something more than what we see down here in the lower half of this table. Something more inspiring, okay? Because now you're getting into the world of art. And when you get into the world of art, in reality, that's probably what you're going to pay for when you get into custom knives like this one. So, case in point, let me explain. This is the ZT-0900, and it's a pretty plain looking knife, right? But the quality is amazing on this thing, right? It's absolutely amazing. Look at that. I mean, it's practically ball shut. It runs on ball bearings. What more do you need, right? This knife, at the time that it was in production, it's now discontinued. In the time that this knife was in production, it was $270. $270 for this knife. We're talking about a titanium quality product, really nice action. You get top quality blade. This is S35VN steel. I mean, this thing is excellent. There is nothing wrong with this knife at all. And if you are someone that's into production knives and you're a heavy knife user, you're going to get a hell of a lot of use out of this thing. And that's what production knives are for. They're building these knives to build a better quality product for you to use on for everyday use. These are not meant to be safe queens. None of the knives down here are meant to be safe queens. They're all meant to be used to hell until you're done using it, or until you break it and you buy a new one, or what. That's what these knives are for. They're looking for long-lasting quality use. That is the main purpose for all the knives down here on the lower half. Okay? Because why in the hell else would you pay, okay, $6.50 for practically the same size knife? Right? I mean, anybody who's like a heavy knife user would not go, you know what, this ain't good enough for me, I want to go for this. They're not going to do that. They're going to stick with this guy, right? Because it makes sense to them. It's for them to use. Someone like me, who's not really a heavy hell user and a light user, I'm a collector. I want something nice in my pocket. I want something fun. I want something that's just a little bit, you know, something that's going to remind me that there's, you know, some kind of niceness out there in this world. So that's what you're paying for every time you go for a custom knife. But at the same time, keep this in mind, okay? This is top quality, and so is this. They're both top quality knives. You know, and if you want to look at it, you want to get specific, yeah. This knife is smooth, right? But at the same time, yeah, this one's like maybe a tad bit smoother. So if you want to get down to specifics, yeah. But I mean, aesthetically, I mean, if you take a look at this thing is really beautiful. So is this. But, I mean, you're getting premium materials kind of put together in a way that gives you something more than what, you know, what this would offer you. But again, if you're happy with this, then this is really all you need. Now, keep this in mind also. When we talk about custom knives, again, I feel like I'm rambling because maybe I'm not getting anywhere on this video, but I can't talk to the guy that made this knife. Right? That's another thing, right? I can't say, you know what, can we change the scale on this knife to a different color? I can't do that. Once I buy this knife, I buy it, I'm stuck with it. There's nowhere, there's limitations, right? Versus this knife, I could probably call up Willem Steenkamp and ask him, can you make me another one of these? So you're getting more out of this knife personally, because what happens is you actually open yourself up to actually talk to the knife maker, meet the knife maker, and at least on Instagram anyway, talk with them, maybe, you know, set yourself up for another build. It's a whole other world as far as what you can expect to get when you're dealing with customs. Also, there's also what we call varying degrees in quality, okay? I like my zero tolerance 0562 a lot. And believe it or not, I know it looks very clean, but I've actually used this knife quite a bit for a lot of different tasks. I just wipe the shit out of it every time I use it. But this is a great knife. But this is as smooth as this knife will ever be. I mean, I'm not going to find another zero tolerance knife with a different smoothness to it. Whereas this knife, which is made by J.D. Van Deventer, his personality is on this knife, so I'm paying for that, okay? I'm paying for the fact that when I flip open the knife, I'm going to be curious as to why this knife is incredibly smooth and it's not even on ceramic bearings. I'm going to want to ask him that, you know, because he could probably make the same exact knife. If I don't like this knife to be fall shut like this, I could probably ask J.D. Van Deventer, hey, can you make it a little less smooth? Where you can't do that with this knife. I mean, this knife, it is what it is. Because this is a tool that is meant to be used every day, and this is a custom. Custom basically means it was put together based on a collaboration in a lot of ways, a collaboration between whatever the knife maker thinks is the standard and whatever you like. If you ever get a chance to get into the world of customs, you will be able to fashion your knife the way you want it to be made. And in a sense, you know, if you are creating the knife with the knife maker, you're actually involved in why your knife is the way it is. Case in point, this knife here is called the J.D. Van Deventer MIDI. There's a bigger version of this knife, same exact version of this knife, but much bigger. It's called the standard MIDI, and that knife is like 3.6 inches, I believe, 6-inch blade. I said jokingly to J.D. Van Deventer that could you possibly take the larger version of this knife and make it into a front flipper? He said that could be done if you want to. I can make it for you. So again, I've actually influenced the making of the knife, and it's going to be now up to him to create the knife that I'm asking for, and it has to be at the standard that he needs it to be before I'm even going to see it. So that's another reason why we get into customs. You're looking for that personability. You're paying for that personability in a lot of ways. Because, and people have said this about custom knives also, when you're buying a knife from a custom knife maker, you're actually buying the maker more than you're buying the knife. You're looking for that personality to jump out at you versus something like the Spyderco Swiss Bowie, which has actually gained popularity just because everybody said it was a great knife and everybody had to have it, and now it's on you know, eBay selling for like 700, 800, 900. Well, I've even seen it, somebody try to sell it for $1,200. Is it worth that much? No, it's not. But you can guarantee that if you saw this same exact knife made by Marcin Swish, who's the actual collaborator on this knife, in a custom version, and he decided to remake this knife the way he really wanted to make it without having, let's say, Spyderco be in the way of its production, it probably would be worth a $1,200 knife. Because, you know, he's now opened up the possibilities of what this knife really could be versus, you know, thousands of employees going to be, you know, laid off. We have to keep, you know, we have to keep the costs down. We have to keep. So, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is these two things, custom knives and production knives, they're two totally different animals. Because of the way these knives are made, they can't really be compared. I mean, I can't go, well, I think this knife is 10 times better than my desk one. I can't say that. I mean, you just can't. Because this knife has a set bar for cost. It's got a set bar for just about everything. I mean, I'm not going to see carbon fiber for a backspacer on this thing. I'm not going to see, you know, these beautiful blue titanium screws that are going to probably hike up the cost of this knife. So, I mean, you're limited to that bar when it comes to production knives because they're working on the concentration of quality versus bling in a lot of ways. Whereas in the world of production knives, the quality is supposed to be a given. It's supposed to be a given when you're dealing with custom, especially when you're dealing with knife makers like Des Horn, J.D. Van Deventer, Andre Thorburn, who already know that and have been doing this for years and years and years and years. So they've actually set the bar even higher than what these guys set it to. In their own head, of course, because they're not a company. You know, they're just one guy making a knife from start to finish. So that's why we pay $650 versus $270. I mean, same exact knife, same exact size, but I think personally, if you were someone that has experienced both, when I put this in my pocket, I feel differently than when I were to put this in my pocket. right? Not because I paid more for it, but because there's more emotional attachment to this knife than there is to this one. That's one. Plus, I like the idea that this knife has got, in many cases, I can vary the degree of quality on this knife than I can on this one. So it's kind of wherever you want to go with your knife collecting. If you're a tool guy, I'm going to be honest with you. If you are set in your head as someone that buys production knives for the sake of, I'm going to use this thing every day, I'm going to be working out in the fields, I'm going to be, again, that guy is going to be 10 times just as satisfied with what's in his pocket as what I have in mine, because I'm not someone that does that with my knives. So I guess that's probably the best analogy as far as, are custom knives worth it? Again, this is just a discussion video. We can't ever really say that these knives way up here are better than the knives down here, because they're really two different animals. They have two separate bars that are being set here. There are other factors involved in both of these than just, this knife is better than this knife. And that's why that will probably never be satisfied. That will never be answered unless you're dealing with all of the, I guess, all the politics involved in knife making. You have to really deal with all of it. You have to look at it as a whole. And of course, it's up to you. I mean, if you've gotten to the point where, I love all the production knives that I have, but I'm looking for something more, then yeah, look into getting your first custom, experience it. I'm not going to sit there and tell you you're going to love the hell out of it. I don't know if you're going to love the hell out of it or not. You're going to have to experience it for yourself. Just to give you an idea, how I got into customs, because, and this all happened because I'm not the guy that takes these knives out into the field, and I'm not someone that's going to use my knife to hell and beat it all up and be happy with it. That's not me. I mean, I got into knives for the mere purpose of collecting. I do use all the knives you see up at the top here, but I use them lightly when I can. If it's in my pocket and I need to have something cut, I mean, I use the knife. None of the knives up here are safe queens. I've actually used all of them at one point. Yeah, I've used them lightly, but I've still used them all lightly. And I do wipe them down. But getting back to my point, I was like I said, I have a Kershaw collection, a Kershaw discontinued collection. I was never, ever really that person that used my knife every day, for everyday use. That was just not me. I went into knives for the mere purpose of collecting. And then that's what happened to me, is that I looked at all the 5 knives on this table. I'm using this as an analogy. And I said, you know what? I'm not getting any kind of much more satisfied. I'm not getting much satisfaction out of these anymore. There's something missing. And that's when I realized that I could probably collect tons and tons and tons of production knives, but because I'm collecting these things and I'm not using them to the fullest of their capability, because that's not what I am. I didn't get into this to beat all these knives up and use them, and because you've seen those guys, man. They take the Spyderco Swiss Bowie and they'll just start cutting with the box immediately. That's not me. I wish that was me, because if that was me, none of the knives on this table would even exist. I would just be happy with what I see here. Okay, because this really would serve my purpose. These production knives would serve my purpose for what I want to have and what I want to do with them. But because I was collecting all these production knives and not using them, I guess you could say I needed a bunch of knives where it would make sense that I'm not using them every day. So in a way it sounds kind of stupid. But, yeah, I wanted a bunch of knives that looked pretty, and I wanted them, to be, something I could carry in my pocket that's pretty, but is just as good as this knife. But I would have a reason not to beat the hell out of the knife because it's not, you know, a plain looking, you know, production knife, which is obviously way more good enough than anybody would ever need. But I'm not saying it's not good enough for me, but I'm a knife collector. I look at everything with my eyes first. But keep this in mind. All right, keep this in mind before I close out this video, all right? Would I have gotten directly into customs if I didn't even bother with any of these down here? The answer to that is real simple, no. I needed to experience for myself first. What's a good quality knife? What is a good quality knife? What is an awesome quality knife? I had to experience that for myself with the knives on the lower half of this table first before I could even get up to the top over here. But it just makes sense. I don't see anybody walking off the street, walking into a knife store like the Blade Gallery, which is where I go to get my knives in a lot of cases. Just going in there and buying an $800 knife or a $1,200 knife and, you know, looking at it. You're not going to get there. You have to be down here first before you can even investigate and figure out, why do I want to get these up here? So I guess what I'm saying is God bless those people. Who are those people that can really, you know, get into the production knives, really use the hell out of them, and yet still have, you know, a good custom collection like I have up here. We're all different individuals. We all collect for different reasons. But again, to say that these knives, to have to compare customs to production knives, it can't be done. And it shouldn't be done, and it's not fair. That's my final thoughts on this subject. You guys give me your input. I don't know if you guys got anything out of this video. I was just kind of rambling off, trying to explain why it's so difficult to compare these two knives, you know, these two sets of knives to each other, and why. You form your own opinion, but this is what I think. I really don't think that they can both be compared. I think they're both necessary in some sense. I can say this, though. I will say this before I close this out. The knives on the top half of the table are a luxury item. They're a luxury item. Nobody needs a knife that, you know, that costs hundreds of dollars. They're not necessary. But we do buy these things because we're looking for something more. We're looking for some kind of, you know, I guess beauty. These are artworks up here. Artworks. And maybe that's the problem, why it's so hard to communicate it. Because this is art up here. And down here, these are really high quality, beautiful tools. And if you can't understand that, or you can't see that, you know, that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with. You know, I mean, because if someone who's heavily into the 00562 thinks that someone buying, you know, $800 knife, if he thinks he's stupid, you know, it's everybody's own opinion. I mean, there's no way. There's just no way to compare. So this is Omar, knife of the party. I don't know if you guys got anything out of this video. I don't even know if it even made any sense. I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of comments on this. Maybe I didn't give you guys anything new or something you didn't already know. But I wanted to communicate this to everybody because it is a difficult topic. It is a taboo topic. And I think I did this video in a way where I didn't put down either the production world or the custom world, because that's not the purpose of this video. This is Omar, knife of the party, closing out. I hope you guys got something out of this, and I will see you in the next video. I'll put these two knives together because, you know, why not? You know, they're basically the same size. It just looks cool to see them both together. This is Omar, knife of the party, closing out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And hopefully that will be a new knife that I have coming will be the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good evening.